Today we're going to learn how to subtract fractions. So we've spent a few days learning how to add fractions together, and today we're going to learn how to subtract fractions. So this is a little bit more challenging, and it's a little different than adding fractions, and you'll see why when we start. But once you see how we do it and I show you a few examples, I think you'll catch on pretty quickly. So I'm going to read you a story problem, and then we're going to talk through how to solve it. Mr. K brought in a pan of double fudge brownies to share. Mrs. D'Alessandro ate 3/12 of the brownies. What fraction of the brownies are left? So let's think about what would make sense here in this problem. We started with a whole pan of brownies. So we started with one whole. That's important to think about because we always have to think about what we're starting with, and then we would take away the amount that was eaten. So we would be taking away the 3/12. So I could show it like this. I could say that I had one whole and I took away 3/12. Okay? Now, this is true, okay? You can do one whole minus 3/12, but you're not going to be able to solve it the way that it's written. I'm sorry that it keeps getting blurry. Because if you remember when we added fractions together, in order to add fractions together, they have to have like denominators. So their denominators have to be the same. In this situation, the denominators are not the same. This is a one whole. It doesn't even have a denominator. So you wouldn't easily be able to subtract it. So what we need to do is we need to make both fractions have the same denominator. So we can't change 3/12. Well, we could, but that wouldn't help us. So what we need to do is we need to make one whole into the form of a fraction. So what fraction do you think I could make one whole in the form of that would give me the same denominator as my fraction with 3/12? Think about that for a minute. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this one whole into 12/12. Because again, 12/12 is one whole. Imagine you have a brownie cut into 12 equal pieces, and all 12 pieces are still there. You have 12/12. You have the whole pan of brownies. So one whole is the same as 12/12. Now I can subtract 3/12 from that. Technology, boys and girls. It's great when it works, and when it doesn't work, it drives you a little bit crazy. Okay, so that would be 12 minus 3, which is 9. And just like when we add fractions together, when we subtract fractions, we don't do anything to the denominators. We keep them the same. So our 12 stays on the bottom because we're not changing the total number of parts that are in the whole. You know what? I think I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to rearrange something so that this is not so blurry. Okay, I'm back. So, what fraction of the brownies are left? 9/12 of the brownies are left. And I want to show you this in picture form. So, I'm going to draw my pan of double fudge brownies. Okay. There are 12, they're cut into 12 equal pieces. So I think I'm going to cut this in half. And then I'm going to cut this into sixths because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. because now if I cut it into sixths, and then I cut this part in half, there should be 12 equal pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is my pan of brownies. There are 12 twelfths there to begin with. All 12 twelfths are there, and that makes up my whole. I take 3 twelfths of them away because I ate 3 of them. I must have been really hungry. And now I am left with 9 out of 12 brownies. 9 twelfths of the brownies are left. Okay. So, whenever you subtract fractions, if you are starting with a whole and taking some away from it, you have to change that whole into fractional form. So you have to turn it into a fraction that has a denominator that is the same as the denominator you are subtracting so that you can solve the problem. So let's do another one together. Make sure you get, if you don't already have out a paper and pencil, get one out, or a dry erase board and a marker, and let's solve one together. So what if I have one whole pizza, okay, and I eat 5/8 of my pizza? How much is left? Okay, so I had a whole pizza, and then I ate 5/8 of the pizza, and I want to know what fraction of the pizza is left after I eat some of it. So I want to show you with my fraction circles exactly what this would look like in case any of you are wondering why I am changing my one whole into a fraction form. So let me get out my pieces here. Okay, so I'm going to build a pizza. And if I'm going to eat 5/8 of the pizza, then clearly that tells me that my pizza is cut into 8 slices. Because I'm eating 5/8 of the pizza. Okay. So, here is my whole pizza. Cut into 8ths. Alright? I started with one whole. But I need to turn that one whole into another number that's equivalent to that one whole that's in fraction form. So, how could I show one whole in the form of a fraction if it's broken up into 8 equal pieces? I want you to write down on your paper or on your dry erase board what fraction would be equivalent to one whole if it's broken into 8 equal pieces. Okay. And if you said, I'm going to move this over, that 8/8 would be equivalent to one whole, you are correct. Because this pizza is broken into 8 equal pieces, and all 8 pieces are still there. So 8/8 makes up this whole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8/8 that make up the whole. I am going to eat 5/8, so I'm going to take 5/8 away. Okay, and you could see me do that. I could actually take them away. I'm going to take the 5/8 away, and you can see that I am left with 3/8 left. Remember, my denominator does not change. The pieces are still broken up into 8ths. So I now have 3/8 of my pizza left. Alright. Now, you will not always be starting with one whole. Sometimes you will start with less than a whole, and you will take some away from that. And in this case, it's a little bit easier because you will already be working with a fraction. So for example, let's say that I have, I'm going to get some pieces out right here. Okay, let's say I have 3/5 of a pie. Okay, so let's say I walked into my house and there was a pie sitting out, and there were 3/5 of the pie there. And there was not a whole pie, there were only 3/5 of a pie. And I was hungry, and so I ate 2/5. Okay, there were 3/5 there to begin with. I ate 2/5 of it. How many are left? 1/5 of the pie is left. Okay, I didn't have a whole pie to begin with. It was there at some point, but my husband must have eaten some of it before I ever got to it. So there was only 3/5 when I got there. And then I ate 2/5, and there's 1/5 left. So 3 minus 2 is 1. The denominator stays the same because the total number of parts that make up the whole doesn't change. So 1/5 of the pie is left. So just remember, when you subtract fractions, if you are starting with a whole and taking part of that whole away, you have to turn that whole into the form of a fraction. So it could be that that whole is 2/2. That whole could be 3/3. That whole could be 4/4, or 5/5, or 6/6, or so on. All of these and more are equivalent to one whole. Because in this case, for example, in 4/4, there are 4 equal parts to the whole, and all 4 parts are still there. In this case, there are 6 equal parts, and all 6 parts are still there. You could have 70 70ths. You could have a giant cake cut into 70 slices, and all 70 slices could still be there. You have 70 70ths. So if you are subtracting one whole minus a fraction, you need to turn that one whole into a fraction that is equivalent to one whole in order to subtract it. All right. You will work on the Google form today to solve the problems that I have given you. You'll need to use paper and pencil to work through them, and then you'll put the answers in the form. Or if you have a dry erase marker and dry erase board, you could do that as well. Good luck.